Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing good today. As I promised you some time ago, I am now going to give you a supplement, something that will help you improve your reading of popular literature, particularly romance or popular romance. And what is that? It's something that I believe, introduced to you a little bit during my presentation on popular romance. This time, however, I'm trying to go deeper into that. And what is it? It's feminism. I believe I have told you the difference between feminism and feminine. Feminine means the attitude of a woman that the society expects. It's what society expects of how a woman should behave, should look, and should do in daily life. And the opposite is feminism. Feminism is an ideology, a belief, or a movement that champion equality among genders. Now I'm going to tell you further how feminism can actually mean a lot. In fact, there are waves of feminism. When it first came out, feminism is not what it is today. So let me now guide you through these waves of feminism. As usual, let me share with you my screen, okay? All right. These are images that I gave you when I differentiated between feminine and feminism. Now we are going to go to the stages of feminism or the waves of feminism. The first wave of feminism took place sometime uh, end of the 19th century and early 20th century. It's with the rise of suffrage. What is suffrage? Suffrage is the right to vote. Back in the late 19th century and early 20th century, not all states in the United States allowed women to vote. That's why there were movements to demand this right for women. And it led to many amendments of the Constitution, which eventually let women or gave women the right to vote all over the United States. The second wave took place sometime in the 60s. The situation at the time was that United States, there were people demanding equality of rights for people of colors, particularly African American people. And at that time, some group found out that they were also not treated equally. What group was it? It's the women. Many women believed that the society still expected them to do certain jobs only. Not all jobs available were for men and women as well. Some jobs were taken always by men, while women were forced to either stay at home or take care of the family. The common belief at the time was that men and women were physically different, therefore, they could not work in the same professions. One of the one of the literature that deals with this is a book called The Feminine Mystique by Betty Fryden. According to Betty Fryden, the society believed that because of their physical differences, men could do many jobs than women. Women were not qualified to work in certain professions. For Betty Friedan, it was called the feminine mystique. It's the misconception about women. That's one of the strongest emphasis in feminism of the second wave. The other highlights are this: equal opportunity in professional realm, and they do not believe in exclusive men's job and exclusive women's job. All jobs can be taken by men and women. And preference for certain gender for certain jobs is definitely unacceptable for this group. And in Indonesian, we can find this same notion in the traditional notions of women as someone who cooks in the family, someone who has to look good for the husband, and someone who bears children. And that is the kind of feminine mystique that Betty Fryden was against, or the second wave feminism was against. Next, we come to the third wave of feminism. The third wave of feminism took place sometime around the 90s. We have several highlights when it comes to third wave feminism, such as equality for women of all colors. Some third wave feminists believe that the second wave feminism, which championed the equality of jobs and education for women, was mostly for white women, while for black women, such equality was still imaginary. People still had to fight for it. That's why in the third wave of feminism, people included in it the notion of race, class, and ethnicity. One of the most famous uh, characters in the third wave feminist movement was Rebecca Walker. Rebecca Walker is the daughter of Alice Walker, a novelist whose novel The Color Purple has been adapted into a movie. Another phenomenon which is also part of the third wave feminism was the Riot Girl. It's the group of lady rockers or lady punkers in uh, sorry in Washington, in the state of Washington, in the United States. They were mostly from the lower class of the society, but they also thought they needed to be represented in the feminist movement. So here are the highlights. There is a multi-ethnic taste to the third wave of feminism, and this time it's no longer about men and women only. There's also the LGBTQ community included in it. And as I mentioned earlier, there's an intersection between class, race, and ethnic issues. Okay, now, is that all? These are images that I think we can, well, represent the feminism of all the three waves. The left one is definitely the second wave of feminism, where women were also strong in participating in the society. This image is taken from the World War II campaign. And the last one is the third wave of feminism, in which not only is a white woman included here, but there's also women of color, like African American woman and a Muslim woman over there. By Muslim, of course, it's related to her origin being immigrant, right? Now, what about today? Well, today's feminism could be different, but there might also be some similarities. But let me review, first of all, these three waves of feminism. The first one, which is the first wave, is about suffrage, and it happened during late 19th century and early 20th century. The second one, the second wave of feminism, it was in the 1960s, in which what people demanded was equality in rights for works. And in the 1980s and 1990s, we had the third wave of feminism, which included women of colors and LGBTQ community, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, and queer. Now, lately, in 2010, 2011, and so on, we had a lot of activisms in which women demanded things like anti-rape culture. They demanded they wanted people to be more aware of this situation, of this phenomenon. And we also had Women's March in 2016, I believe, when Donald Trump was in power. And there were also a lot of activism. And some people thought that this was the fourth wave of feminism. This time, feminism is not only about theories, just as we find in the third wave of feminism, but it's going back to the root of feminism as an activism. There's also this Me Too campaign in which women came out to tell about their experience being exploited or being harassed by men, and some other things, which are basically activism, whether online or in person. Now, I hope by seeing that feminism has gone through these different waves or stages, you all can see where your popular romance lies. Some popular romance works have the second wave feminist taste to it, in which what the main character fights for is the equality in profession. While some other popular romance works, we can find issues like classes, the struggle of women of different classes and different ethnicities in their love relationship. So it means it's part of the third wave of feminism. And I hope this brief overview of the waves of feminism can give you, well, a background for doing further study on popular romance works or other works for that matter. Because I believe soon enough you will have to deal with uh, literary fiction, and you might find literary fiction interesting if you see it from the perspective of gender or feminism. I guess that's all, everyone. I hope this brief overview helps you in one way or another in dealing with literature. Bye, everyone. Thanks.